Hello! Today is an exciting video. I'm gonna be reading like Taylor Swift for the next week. Listen, okay? If you're not a Taylor Swift fan, that's fine. You are welcome here. But I need you to hear me out. I need you to watch this video and then make a final decision on if you like her music. Because I have spent the past 48 hours, a lot of my life. I am a red girly. Red is my era of choice. So I've always watched like her interviews. I know her music. I know the lyrics. I know what they mean. I just love it. I feel like Taylor, when she speaks, when she sings her lyrics, I get it. I feel like the people who are fans of Taylor Swift and understand her music, we all think the same, or we all understand life kind of in the same realm, in the same paradigm. So I'm excited to read some of the books that inspired some of her most famous, loved songs of all time. I literally cannot wait. I just took a literature class. Literally, I finished it a few weeks ago. And so we had to read a lot of poetry. We were reading Shakespeare. Honestly, I don't love poetry. Like something about poetry, I'm struggling. But Taylor pulls from a lot of Shakespeare, a lot of poetry in her songs. So I'm like, I feel like I need to grow up. Like honestly, mature. So I'm excited to read some of the classics that inspire her music. And also I just feel like I need to grow up and just like classical literature and poetry. So with that being said, we're gonna start with obviously The Great Gatsby. I saw in an interview that she did, she said that she keeps like a file system of like some of her favorite words, some of her like favorite lines from poems or books. She'll just store them and then use them throughout songs. So anyway, I want to start with Great Gatsby because I know that there are a bunch of songs like
This is why we can't have nice things. Don't blame me, love made me crazy. If it doesn't, you ain't doing it right.
She's cute and she's also small. Let's start off with something small. Let's see how it is. I'm a little bit nervous. I don't think I've ever watched the movie of this either because it was rated R, PG-13? I don't know if my parents wouldn't let me watch it when I was little, so never watched it.
And in the disbelief, I can't face reinvention. Haven't met the new me yet. There'll be happiness after you.
Okay, The Great Gatsby kind of influenced in some way the song's Happiness, Happiness, oh my goodness. If you've never listened to that song, please listen to it. It's so good. Also the Delicate music video.
Dive bar on the east side, where you at? Phone lights at my nightstand in the black. Third floor on the west side, me and you. Handsome, you're a mansion with a view. Long night, your hands up in my hair. Echoes of your footsteps on the stairs. Is it cool that I said all that? Is it too soon to do this yet?
Very, very Gatsby vibes. I noticed that as soon as I watched it. Let's read. This is why we can't have nice things.
Lord, when I get to heaven, will you bring my body? Oh, I know you will. I know that you will.
Time for a little update on reading Taylor Swift's favorite books. I finished The Great Gatsby and I actually really liked it. I would rate this definitely a 5 stars. Next, I'm starting Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. And I already know I'm gonna love this book. This one was originally published 1938, 36 pages in, chapter 5. And honestly, so far I'm really liking this. Also, the vocabulary in here is pretty dense. And I'm also already highlighting and I'm gonna start tabbing things. I already know I love this book and I'm okay that it's gonna take a little bit longer to read. I feel like this is gonna be just a staple in my book collection. There's like this level of suspense right from the beginning, which I really love. We don't have to wait 200 pages to like get into the depth of the story. The characters so far in the book are very just wonky and it makes you just want to keep reading because you're like, who are these people? And you want to understand them. And the fact that I'm already experiencing that at 36 pages. Also, Taylor Swift has read it. So as I'm reading, I'm like, I'm going to read it because just imagining Taylor Swift like really reading this too, that's pretty cool. time for a little bit of an update. Guys, this book is crazy. I love it. I stayed up until midnight reading last night. I'm on page 319. This is all I have left. I have basically about 100 pages left and I cannot wait. Obviously, I'm tabbing. I can't believe I don't hear more people talking about this. This is already a 6-star book. I don't even need to read the ending. It's already a 6-star book. I love this book so much. I don't think I'm ever going to stop talking about it. And it is absolutely wonderful and magnificent and the best book. I've never rated a book 6 stars. Like, I don't have any 6-star rates. The writing is phenomenal. The scenes, I think that when I was reading The Great Gatsby focuses, I think, on the larger scenes that are at play, so the really big moments, versus this book, she focuses a lot on those in-between moments, like when a friend or your boyfriend or something says something a little bit hurtful and that like sinking feeling you get, that like literal heartbreak feeling that you get. She describes those kind of feelings in this book. And I'm like naturally a very nostalgic person. I'm a big feeler. The female main character like bites her nails. She's kind of anxious. I always have press-ons on because I have a terrible, terrible nail biting habit. I have since I was a child. And so there's just so many little character traits in this book that I relate to so much. So many feelings in this book that I've experienced, but I've never ever seen a writer write them and display them so correctly, so spot on. Those little niche experiences, those little niche feelings. I am just like in love with this book, just like absolutely in love with it. I'm gonna finish reading it today and then we'll choose our last Taylor Swift read. I mean, she has not led me astray. I cannot believe I have my first 6-star read. And it's not like a book talk book. It's not a book I've ever heard of anywhere else. So this is such a fun, like amazing reading experience right now. Just like so many of my reading first. And I am so happy. Oh, I also didn't say that this book, apparently when Taylor read it, she wrote Tolerate It afterwards. And in one of Taylor's interviews that she did, she said that she also will just like take words that she really likes and she will file those somewhere. And it's kind of funny because I see words like Ivy, Labyrinth, when now there are songs, those titles. Also a part where it's kind of talking about being clever and being kind, saying that she would be described as clever but not very kind, but people would have thought that she was kind. And it makes me think of that Taylor verse, never be so clever you forget to be kind, and never be so kind you forget to be clever. Oh, and then also in here it says forevermore, which is obviously, and so I'm just like, wow, I'm really seeing the correlations, not just Tolerate It, which Tolerate It is actually one of my favorite songs. Also, I was just on Instagram and Travis Kelce did an interview and he was quoted saying, "I've never been a man of words. Being around her, seeing how smart Taylor is has been mind-blowing. I'm learning every day." Gotta be because of how much she reads and how much she's been reading for years and years. There are like so many interviews of her going to elementary schools and junior high, talking about reading, encouraging them to read, talking about her favorite books. And this was like 10, 12, like years ago. And then she even talks about how she was reading, I mean, even back when she was in elementary school. So I just kind of love this. I'm just loving all of this.
Know my love should be celebrated, but you tolerate it. Wait by the door like I'm just a kid. Use my best colors for your portrait. If it's all in my head, tell me now. I know my love should be celebrated.
Okay, it's time for the last and final book, which is going to be Normal People by Sally Rooney. And I feel like everybody just absolutely knows that Taylor Swift loves this book. I know that this author is known for not using quotation marks around the character's dialogue, which I think is going to be really interesting. I did start it a couple hours ago. I only made it to page 20 because I went to a cafe to read it, but then the couple next to me was on their first date. Obviously, my brain, like I could not focus on the book because I was listening to them, so I just ended up leaving. Hopped on my walking pad. If I want to get a lot of reading done, I just get on my walking pad because I play music. I can't go anywhere, and my brain is perfectly busy with like the reading, the music, the walking, that I just like get into a trance. And I've been walking on this thing anywhere between like an hour and a half, 2 hours. It's amazing.
Anyway, if you want to know the songs that are correlated with normal people, it's kind of cool because you can kind of reverse engineer. So if there's specific Taylor songs that you like, then you might like the book that was correlated with it, which I think is a huge misconception with Taylor's music. A lot of people reject her because they think that all of her songs are about past relationships or all of her songs are about herself. But if you listen to like literally even a single interview that she's ever done, she always talks about the books that she reads and where she pulls from and how she pulls from it. And I think that's amazing. So I feel like if you reject her songs, you reject a lot of amazing literature. And that I just don't get. Like when people say that they don't like her music, they don't think that she's a good storyteller, she doesn't have good lyrics. I just see it as like you are literally rejecting some of the world's greatest literature. That's how I see it. A lot of people say that the entire Folklore album, and then as I'm listening to Folklore, I'm like, I can already kind of see. After I read this, I think I'll know more. FMC, Marianne, she is like very unlikable. Basically, nobody likes her. She kind of says strange things. Marianne had the sense that her real life was happening somewhere very far away, happening without her, and she didn't know if she would ever find out where it was and become part of it. All she knew was that when it started, she wouldn't need to imagine it anymore. Doesn't really have her footing quite yet, but she also thinks that she's like very smart. She's like the smartest person in their school. Then our MMC Connell, I think that's how you say it, Connell, he fears being around her, Marianne, because of the confusing way he finds himself behaving, the things he says that he would never ordinarily say. So the vibe I'm getting is like, because she's kind of just this strange character, like she laughs at odd things, she reacts oddly to things that Connell says to her. Like she'll get offended, but then she won't be offended, but then she'll just start laughing, and then he'll be like, why are you laughing? But then she kind of gets her feelings hurt because she's like, I don't understand why he was laughing or why that was funny. So we're just kind of discovering their relationship, and they're both, I feel like because the book is called Normal People, I'm in my head, I'm like, they're probably not gonna be like normal people. So anyway, I'm excited. I love the Folklore album. Illicit Affairs, if you guys watched this video, I kept singing in the beginning, like I could not stop singing Illicit Affairs, it was stuck in my head. Betty, Cardigan, some of everybody's like favorite songs. So I cannot wait to listen to the Folklore album while I read this on my walking pad. That is just a 10 out of 10 Saturday. So let's get started.
Been saying yes instead of no. You know the greatest films of all time were never made.
I don't want to spoil anything. They end up in her bedroom. Also, they're like in high school at this point. So nothing like crazy sexually or anything like that is happening, but he kisses her and then she's like, can we take our clothes off? And he's like, no, absolutely not. Like our moms are in the house like this. That's so weird. He's just kind of like, what a strange thing to ask. And then she's like, but I tempted you. And I think he was basically like, not really. And she's like, but I did. And it's just like a strange interaction. Taylor, in an interview in 2019 for Elle, said, I love writing songs because I love preserving memories, like putting a picture frame around a feeling you once had. I like to use nostalgia as inspiration when I'm writing songs for the same reason I like to take photographs. I like to be able to remember the extremely good and extremely bad times. She also said, my favorite kinds of books to read are the ones that do more than just tell you a story. They do more than just set the scene or paint the picture. The writing I love the most places you into that story, that room, that rain-soaked kiss. You can smell the air, hear the sounds, and feel your heart race as the character does. It's something F. Scott Fitzgerald did so well, to describe a scene so gorgeously interwoven with rich emotional revelations, that you yourself have escaped from your own life for a moment. Oh my gosh. I can't. That's so embarrassing. Oh my gosh, that's so embarrassing. I just got major secondhand embarrassment. Okay, it is finally time to do a little recap on the books that I read for this video, some of Taylor Swift's favorite reads. We started off with The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald, and obviously a 5-star read just because, mostly because it's a classic. I really did love the story. This was my first time reading it, and I also, me and my husband, watched the movie together. The movie was just great. The writing is great. There's so many beautiful moments, scenes. It's a very dramatic book, which I didn't realize that it would be, and the ending is also quite shocking. I can't believe I've never read it and never had it spoiled for me. I don't know how that happened. People are very dishonest and not always clear with their intentions. There's a lot of secrecy, drama, and it's quite a quick read to only 184 pages, I think. Definitely keeping it in my collection. Thought it was a really funny, interesting read. Then we read Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier, my one and only 6-star read ever. Ate this book up. I loved it. It's a romantic suspense, and right from the beginning you jump right into the story. Like, Miss du Maurier did not waste a second. Throughout the entire book I was just like, what is gonna happen? I don't want to say too much because I definitely don't want to spoil it, because I went into this pretty blind. Like, even the back of it I don't feel like gives so much away. There's also a huge age gap in this book. She's 21 and he's 42. And so guys, just please read it. It's romantic suspense. So just those vibes. His wife passed away, and then he discovers this girl and brings her back to his place. And it's all very messy, dramatic. Yeah. And then the last book, Normal People by Sally Rooney. Another 5-star read. I honestly can't believe it. I can believe it because I love Taylor Swift's music so much. I love her lyrics, the stories, all of it. It clicks with my brain. So of course, a lot of the songs that were written based on the novels she read. Of course, it's just one big ecosystem I love being a part of. You're following Connell and Marianne, and they are both quite strange individuals. Definitely would say look up the trigger warnings. I never look up trigger warnings. I feel like I'm just gonna go for it. But I definitely would say, because there is a lot shoved into this book. One of my favorite things about the way Sally Rooney writes, first of all, there's no quotations around the dialogue, which honestly I really loved, because my brain, like my eyes and my brain weren't getting caught up on the commas and the quotes. It actually flowed seamlessly. Like, it was so easy to read. Finished this in like a day. It was literally so good. I could not stop reading. Loved the story. Like, you're kind of reading and it feels good. You're like in a groove, and then something really shocking will happen, or Marianne or Connell will say something that's just like not okay to say or not right to say or whatever. But Sally Rooney doesn't write it in a way like, ha, I was trying to like shock you. The story is woven so perfectly that you never feel like she's trying to shock you, or you never feel like she's trying to get that reaction out of you. It just kind of happens, and it's the most pleasurable reading experience because you feel like you're in it. There's not very many stories that I've read where I genuinely feel connected to the characters, like I'm actually rooting for them. Like, there's only like this book and one other book I can think of where I like actually get that feeling that I understand the characters and I'm like rooting for both of them. I just love this book. I am on my Goodreads, when I did my review, I said I wish that I would have wrote this book. Like, if I ever write a book, I want it to be like this one. I loved everything about it. I think that it is incredible. Sally Rooney is a genius. One of these I was like, wow, did Sally Rooney have video of me from my college days, because this paragraph felt like it. In bed at night, she imagines scenarios in which she is completely free of her mother and brother, on neither good nor bad terms with them, simply a neutral non-participant in their lives. She spent much of her childhood and adolescence planning elaborate schemes to remove herself from family conflict, staying completely silent, keeping her face and body expressionless and immobile, wordlessly leaving the room and making her way to the bedroom, closing the door quietly behind her, locking herself in the toilet, leaving the house for an indefinite number of hours, and sitting in the school park by herself. Like, that gave me flashbacks to college, when I would like take naps in my car in my college parking lot because I didn't want to go home. And then there's also themes of like friendships, messy friendships, healthy friendships. Sometimes people come in your life and they seem to be good people because it seems that they love you and they want to be around you. So then you embrace them. But they end up actually being not great people. And then Marianne gets punished when Marianne doesn't behave the way that they want her to. And then they tell her things like she's crazy or she needs to go to therapy. And I thought that theme was so interesting, because I feel like that type of friendship or that kind of relationship is something that's not spoken about a lot. Those people that come in your life because they seem like they love you, but then as soon as you don't do what they want you to do, they punish you. And then taking a step further, people who have maybe mental health issues, or it runs in their family, or there's some kind of genetic thing or whatever, people calling you crazy or that you need to go to therapy or whatever in order to make you feel insecure, and probably therefore wanting their love even more, because then you feel like something's wrong with you. I thought that was really cool that she wrote about that in a way that was so woven into the story that you don't really notice it until you're like, oh, that was a major theme that Sally like wrote about. So just a lot of that. You probably can't even see because I wrote like in pen, I didn't highlight, but the whole time I was just like with a pen. The beginning was amazing. Towards the middle, I was like, I wonder if like it's gonna keep being just as good. And then the last like 100 pages I was reading in the coffee shop, and I was just like, I just like had my pen. I was just like writing, and then I would just be like, oh my, like it was just so good. Connell is like ends up becoming depressed and suicidal, and like one of his guy friends tells him to go to the counselor. So I just love that. Like she also wrote about friends that actually do care about you and love you and like are rooting for you. But then you also have Connell, who's just like having a hard time. Just like love him. Like you just think that he's like the sweetest guy. Marianne asks him to do things that he thinks are just like off limits, like he would never do. He still reacts like so graciously and so kind, and like it's just, I just loved it so much. It's such a good book. Like I wish I wrote this. I hope that one day I can write a book like this. So shout out to Taylor Swift once again. She gave me some of my favorite books I've ever read. And I think that's pretty incredible. So anyway, thanks for watching this video. If you're not subscribed already, please subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. I'd appreciate it so much. And I will see you guys in the next one.